Hello, beautiful beings. Welcome to Soul Shift Messages. If you found your way here, trust there's something in this message for you. Understand this space is about growth, truth, and transformation, which means we don't bypass here. We don't sugarcoat, and not every message will feel comfortable, but it will be honest. I speak in flow, and that includes cussing sometimes. It's part of how the messages come through. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and trust your own discernment above all else. Take a deep breath, and let's begin. If you are new here, please know that I record content on a weekly basis, and I record it in 3 parts. The part 1 is essentially answers the question, what needs to be revealed? Part 2 focuses on what needs to be understood. And part 3 focuses on what needs to be done. So this is part 2 of 3, and I am calling this message the mechanism of choice, reaction, or conscious response. So what needs to be understood? Part 1, which I will post a link to in the description below. Part 1 wasn't the end of the cycle. It was the end of not seeing it. The patterns, triggers, and repeated dynamics were brought into full awareness along with your participation in them as they happen, which means the cycle is no longer unconscious. It is a choice. In part 2, it's going to reveal something more confronting. The cycle does not continue because it exists. It continues because it is re-entered, reinforced, and re-chosen in real time. This is not happening abstractly. It is happening in your body, in your emotions, in microseconds before conscious awareness, in small, repeatable moments. All right, let's go ahead and break this down further. The nature of the pattern. The pattern is not primarily cognitive. It is emotional, sensory, and immediate. It begins with a micro trigger, often unnoticed, followed by an internal shift. This can be tension, sensation, emotional activation, then an instant meaning assignment, then a narrative forms, then a reaction or a control attempt, then escalation or withdrawal, then reflection and repetition. By the time you notice the pattern, you are often already inside of it. Why it feels so real? Because the feeling is real. The body is activated. The experience is immediate. So the mind does what it is designed to do. It builds a story to match the feeling. Then it goes further. It analyzes, rationalizes, justifies, not to discover truth, but to stabilize the emotional experience into a believable reality. The hidden reinforcement system. The cycle persists because it is reinforced on multiple levels. The first one is emotionally. This is intensity, stimulation, aliveness. Mentally, this is analysis, engagement, problem solving. Behaviorally, it's reaction, expression, withdrawal. Psychologically, this is identity. It's familiar. This means the pattern is not just painful, it is also stimulating, engaging, and identity confirming. Without it, calm may feel empty. Stillness may feel wrong. Peace may feel unfamiliar. The split, two systems operating at once. You are not dealing with one self evolving. You are experiencing two systems running in parallel. The first one is the regulated system. This is grounded, open, non-controlling, and present. The second one is the conditioned system. This is fast, reactive, defensive, control-oriented, emotionally charged. The conditioned system activates first, feels more convincing, and moves faster than conscious thought. This explains the core friction of, I know better, but I'm still doing the same thing. And that's because awareness belongs to one system and reaction belongs to the other. Control, the most important hidden mechanism. Part 1 exposed control. Part 2 reveals control did not disappear, it evolved. It now appears as overthinking, careful timing, strategic silence, measured responses, trying to do it correctly, even self-restraint used as subtle manipulation. This creates a paradox. Even your growth can be driven by the same pattern you're trying to exit. Where the cycle actually locks in. It's not at the reaction. It's not even at the thought. It locks in at the moment the feeling becomes a story. That moment is fast, automatic, and often unconscious. The true interruption point is after the feeling arises, before the narrative solidifies. This is where liberation actually happens. Not later, not in reflection, not in understanding, in real time. Why you still choose the pattern. Even with full awareness, the pattern continues because it feels true. Emotion convinces you. It feels justified. The mind creates exceptions. This situation is different. This reaction is valid. It feels stimulating. For a lot of people, we have been taught intensity equals aliveness. And it feels familiar. It reinforces identity, who you are, how you relate, how you experience yourself. You are not just repeating a pattern. You are maintaining a version of yourself through it. Say it again. Okay. You are not just repeating a pattern. You are maintaining a version of yourself through it. The new path and why it feels wrong. A real alternative exists, but it requires feeling without reacting, acting without certainty, letting go without closure, giving without control. And it can feel like suppression, loss, uncertainty, emptiness. The critical truth is your internal compass is temporarily unreliable because what is familiar feels right and what is free feels wrong. This is part of the journey. It is learning new ways and the discomfort that comes with that. False progress traps. There is warning of subtle missteps. One is swinging between extremes, moving from reaction to shut down, moving from control to passivity. This is not change. It's oscillation. You're moving back and forth between two extremes. Some of you may recognize this as poles, polarity integration. Some of you may recognize this as balancing polarities, polar harmonics, getting to the middle. If that doesn't resonate, you don't have to take it. Second is turning awareness into a project. This includes tracking every reaction, trying to optimize growth, seeking perfection. This recreates control in a new form. I'm hearing flow. Flow. You don't need to control. Flow. Third, overanalyzing instead of acting. This looks like insight loops, delayed embodiment. Understanding becomes avoidance. Emotional truth is still unfolding. Even now, some feelings are softened and some truths are partially acknowledged. Full liberation requires full honesty without refinement or filtering. So the gap, insight versus embodiment. You are ahead mentally, but your nervous system is still conditioned and your reactions are still automatic. This creates frustration and self-doubt. Your guidance is to reframe this. This is not failure. This is the rewiring phase. And it genuinely takes time. And I know sometimes that is really hard to hear, but as someone who did go through this process, there is no rushing this. There is no bypassing this. This is not on your schedule. It is not on your time. So my advice is to partner with this and allow that rewiring phase to take place. Expect resistance at the edge. Before the pattern breaks, it may intensify, become more convincing, or feel more justified than ever. This is not regression. It is the system trying to maintain itself. Some of you may understand this to be escalation. I think that's a term they use in psychology. When you're trying to exit old roles, old dynamics, there can be escalation, which is again resistance. It's another word for resistance when you are about to break a pattern. And in my experience, people can really act the fuck up. And it doesn't mean you are doing anything wrong. But sometimes when you put yourself first, when you used to put others before you consistently, that is very disruptive to them. And whether they recognize it or not, they actually do not want you to do that because they will not benefit as much. I've mentioned in previous videos, some of you will have to come to terms with, in certain cases, you will need to be perceived as the bad guy or the bad person in a situation. And you can do that. I used to be a former people pleaser, and I got through that. So I just want to say, and I was a chronic, yeah, thank you for correcting me. I was a chronic people pleaser. So I really say that to let you know that I genuinely believe if I'm capable of doing that, knowing where I was, I'm more than confident you can do the same as well if you decide to take that step. So the real practice, it's not complex. It is not theoretical. It is simple, repetitive, and uncomfortable. Anytime I've broken out of a pattern, it has not been comfortable, not for myself, and honestly, not for anyone else I've tried to break out of that pattern from. And they want you to know that's uncomfortable. Growth is not always comfortable. And if you're super comfortable, you may not be growing the way you hoped. All right. In the moment, you need to notice the internal shift. Pause. Do nothing. Just pause. Feel without narrating. Do not justify. Do not control. Choose a conscious response or no response. Trust your discernment with that. Sometimes the correct action is no action. Not every trigger needs expression, resolution, or meaning. Some of you know people reach out to you for emotional regulation. And I used to do that as well. And some of you are not going to like what I'm about to tell you. And for some of you, it may not come to this, but when I have people who I used to emotionally regulate reach out to me and I feel that their intentions are not pure, I do not respond to them. I don't care if it's a phone call. I don't care if it's a text. Because I know it's an invitation to open the door where they will try to have me emotionally regulate them. And so I straight up ignore them. Why do I do that? Because I need to teach them and their nervous system you don't get what you're looking for from here anymore. You need to either regulate yourself or find another source who is willing to do so. And for some of you, that may sound cold, and that's okay. I'm really not here to please the world. But that is a tricky spot where I find often no action is actually the most effective. Because if you even acknowledge them, they will just continue to try to reach out. Even if you rebuff their attempts, you still engaged with them and it encourages them to reach out again. And I find that anytime I tried to keep them at bay, any contact with them just led to more outreach. And so I had to swing the other way and be like, nope, you just don't get access. And I'm just holding that line until their nervous system learns you don't get that here anymore. Don't expect it here. Move on. And that just takes time. So that's not going to be for everyone, but I usually don't talk about myself or my experience any more than I need to. So I feel like someone genuinely needs to hear that. This process is not always comfortable. And for the record, I did not automatically cut people off. I really did try to find a middle ground. And if you are trying to find a middle ground and you feel like you really can't find it, I'm hearing that's information for you to consider for your next steps. There are certain situations where you can really only find middle ground with people who are willing to meet you in the middle. And some of you may find that you are dealing with people who have no interest of meeting you in the middle and compromising in any way. And it's not to shame those people. It's not to say they're wrong. It's just to understand that is the situation you are dealing with and to use that information for you to understand how to move and how to interact with them. All right. Letting go without closure. You may not get full clarity, emotional resolution, or clean endings. Liberation does not require completion, only release. I'm hearing some of you are waiting for closure from people who have no intention to give it to you. And I don't know who that is for, but my heart goes out to you. You do not need closure to let go. You just need to release it. I'm hearing some people aren't here to give you peace. Some people are not here to give you that closure. The lesson you're learning is you can give yourself closure. because they want you to let go and move forward in peace. They don't want you to carry that hurt any longer. If you let go, if you release it, and you tell yourself it's complete, you don't need that closure, you can actually allow that energy to move through you and genuinely be let go. Some of you are holding that energy in your space, waiting for that closure, and you do not need to do that. Again, I'm hearing that's a choice. All right, the missing element is lightness. Without ease, simplicity, or space, this process becomes heavy and it feeds the cycle. It is very easy to get sucked up in the heaviness of moving through this phase. And while crying can be a great way to release things, I actually find laughter is another beautiful way to release as well. I mean, it literally shakes your whole body up. Like, how could it not move energy around? So make sure you are doing things that you enjoy, things that you love. Just because you are noticing patterns and trying to work through those does not mean there is no room for joy in your life. Again, that is a choice. And I've found even on my hardest days in this journey that you can genuinely find something to smile about. You can still find beauty even when you feel like you might be in the struggle. So, I don't know why, but I'm hearing go get an ice cream. Take that if it resonates. If you're lactose intolerant, please make good decisions because I know lactose intolerant people who still eat ice cream. I mean, do you, but apparently someone needed an idea. Go get some ice cream. Get something simple that you really love. You know, the thumbnail I chose for this video is the new flowers that I bought for myself, and they're pink and white roses. I don't know why I'm leaning so hard toward roses right now. I never did, but they were just so pretty. So, you know, buy yourself some flowers. Doesn't need to be big, doesn't need to be expensive, you know. Find something to lighten up the journey. It will, in my experience, it makes things easier. It doesn't necessarily take the full weight away, but it's a good way to keep yourself grounded in the reality that there's still things to find joy in, even when times are hard. All right. How change will actually feel is not dramatic. It's not obvious. It is subtle, quiet, and gradual. You may change deeply without feeling like you are. Not all changes are very noticeable, especially if they are the ones that are small. That really, a lot of the change that I've noticed is, you just have kind of an aha moment where, you just kind of form the habit and then someone tries to trigger you and using old stuff and you just realize like that doesn't even bother me. Like that did nothing. So you don't need certainty. You don't need full trust, full clarity, or full confidence. You only need enough awareness to pause once. Then again, and then again. The final shift in responsibility before The cycle felt confusing. Now it's visible, which means continuing it will feel like a conscious choice, and you can choose to opt out. You can choose differently. All right? Support exists. Even if not fully seen, you are not doing this in isolation, and there is support available. All right? But it may be overlooked in favor of control or self-reliance. I'm hearing keep an open mind as you're moving through this. Timing. This is an activation window. Right now, awareness is heightened. Patterns are exposed and change is accessible. But this state will not hold itself. It must be used. I'm hearing use it or lose it. All right, so the complete truth to wrap this message up. The pattern begins before awareness. It feels true because it's emotional. It becomes real through narrative. It is defended through analysis. It is reinforced through intensity and identity. It persists through micro choices. And it ends only through conscious interruption. You are not trapped in the cycle. You are practiced in it. And liberation is not found in understanding that truth. It is found in the moment you feel the pattern begin and choose not to become it. That's the message. I'm not getting anything more. If this resonates with you, I will be posting part 3 on Friday, and that will focus on what needs to be done. Feel free to tune in on Friday if that resonates with you. And if not, that's okay. Take care of yourselves, beautiful beings. Bye.